Yo, what's up? Welcome inside the Open Line, part of the Elite Fantasy Sports Network. Corey and Benny coming at you. I want to thank everybody for rocking with us, subscribing, liking the video, seeing your comments in the chat and stuff. Well, not in the chat, but the more interactive features will soon come. Benny, I went against my goodwill last night, and I paid for it, so a little less. I think I was down 4 units last night, but not bad.
And that's not horrible. I actually had I did not have a really good day betting on the totals. Again, I was all over the Arizona side of that game, and it didn't work out real well. And they also didn't go over, which is the other thing I wanted. But what saved my night, Corey, was my home run call. My home run call in the hitter article yesterday was Chris Bryant going yard. I said he was the most likely to hit a home run. So I took Chris Bryant and the Cubs to win because I didn't like Wade Miley, and I kind of like Kyle Hendricks. So I took Cubs to win, and Chris Bryant paid $550 to hit a home run yesterday. So
nice.
That covered the losses on all the stuff on the Arizona and Colorado game. Made sure I had some money left today to do what I really want to do, which is bet some NBA action.
And there you go right there. We're getting ready to hop in and get that started. I told you yesterday, I've been telling you for the past couple of days, maybe for a few shows now, about the NBA, the WNBA, and these WNBA unders, right? Mm-hmm. Yesterday morning when I got up here and we was talking about it, I checked in on it. It was 167, the total.
Mm-hmm. I remember you saying that.
By the time I laid down and got back up, that number had dipped Benny to 153. And I was like, wow.
Well, I mean, again, this is one of the things that happens early in the season, right? You want to hop on trends early in the season because it takes Vegas a little while to adjust to it.
Especially with everything going on right now. Nobody's really paying attention to the WNBA.
Yep, and that's the thing. But you know what? I mean, Vegas is very good at reading the same numbers that we're reading, right? So, I mean, when they're making a mistake, it doesn't take them very long to correct it. So that's why when you hop on a trend and you start riding a trend, I mean, again, with me, like with Giannis in the first series, when you find the trend that you want, you got to hit it hard and you got to stay on it. And as soon as things start changing, you know, that's when you got to get out of the way and kind of just let things happen, you know?
Reevaluate.
Exactly.
My dumbass. When I saw that dip to 153, I said, man, I got to hop out. So I hopped out, and I went in on the Seattle Storm, I believe they're called. Yeah. Seattle Storm was catching – yesterday morning they was catching 1. After my executive nap, they was catching 4. Mm-hmm. So I moved the money over to Seattle. Now, the first quarter – after the first quarter, the score was 22-9. Minnesota was dominating Seattle 22-9. Seattle wins the other 3 quarters. If you remove the first quarter, Seattle wins that game.
Right.
The total comes in at 137.
And what did they have it at? 153?
153.
Yeah, so I mean, even with the drop, they were still way under. But think about how far that early line was.
30 points, Benny.
Yeah, that's a big number. So again, you got to start thinking these are going to start adjusting down, but you know, we got to keep an eye on it because I mean, even at 150 something, it still seems like it's a little bit over.
It's a 3-game slate tomorrow night. Mm-hmm. I would tease all them to the under and just hit those 3.
You know, I got to be perfectly honest. I'm going to start looking at it because I got a feeling that there's not a lot of people out there doing it. There's got to be some – I mean, because I use a dozen different websites for basketball stats, Basketball Reference, Basketball Monster, you know, TeamRankings.com to get all the stats that I use when I'm breaking down NBA games, you know, which is basically what I did last night for this series. There's got to be a site somewhere that has all that stuff for WNBA. I'm going to be perfectly honest with you guys. I've never really cared about WNBA, which kind of sounds like a crappy way to say that, but –
No, it happens.
If you can find the site that has all that information,
you make money.
Yeah, I definitely think you can because, again, even Vegas is probably not taking a ton of bets on it, which is why they're probably not as gung-ho about making sure the lines are right. You know what I mean?
Well, the professional bettors bet WNBA, and that's what it is. Yeah. That's why that number dropped so heavy yesterday because they was like, oh, they okay, they're on it. You know what I'm saying?
They hammered it. So that's 13 points on a total for a basketball game. Like, you will never see that in the NBA.
Never.
You'll never, ever see that in the NBA. Like, if a total moves like 3 points in the NBA, we're like, whoa.
That's big shit.
Like, that's big, yeah.
That's like the Tim Donaghy shifts. When the FBI was figuring out what was going on in the NBA, the Tim Donaghy shifts was like 2.5 points.
That's what I'm saying. Like the most, no matter who it is, whatever superstar, they actually did a little bit of a study on this earlier in the year. No matter what superstar it is, like the best player on the team being injured is usually only worth like at most like around 4 or 5 points to the spread. And that's like, we're talking like a Giannis not playing, a Kawhi not playing, a LeBron James not playing. So like the average player moves the spread maybe half a point to a point. You know what I'm saying? So like when you see a 13-point move, like that's huge. Like that means that the books had no idea what the hell they were doing when they put it out.
Now, about to getting ready to hop into today's action. So lost the WNBA bet, lost the NHL bet. I was on the Bruins last night. If I'm not mistaken, they lost in overtime. Benny's like, I don't.
So you're talking WNBA and NHL hockey to me. I got no idea. You
trying to make some money, Benny.
I'm the first one that tells everybody, man. Like I was betting esports a couple months ago because we got an esports guy in the company and he was on fire. So the money's green no matter where it comes from. So if you find somebody that knows what they're talking about at one of these niche sports, I mean, listen, the reason why I love Mad Lab and UFC is because Mad Lab, in my opinion, is one of the best out there at breaking fights down. And every time he does it, I'm making money. If you bet all the stuff that Mad Lab says throughout his article and you do it consistently, you're going to make more money than you put in, which is basically what I've been doing. So, I mean, if you can find somebody who knows what they're talking about in one of these niche sports, like I said, the money's still green. It still spends the same way. So
the kid Duke that does the soccer over at Elite Sports Betting, he hit every MLS bet last night. So I was on one of those two. Remember I told you I only bet DC and Atlanta. Both those teams won yesterday. He had the whole card covered. I hit the DC United bet. They were down 2-0, and they came back and won 3-2 in regular time, which is crazy. Mm-hmm. And then I was on the Chicago Cubs, so that was a good call right there, Benny. Yep. So I was able to, for the most part, I was able to break even. But I should have had that WNBA under. So that's kind of where the night went. But tonight is the big one. As we get started with the NBA Finals. Yesterday was media day, but all the talking comes to an end today, and it takes place up in Canada. And we got some reverse steam, Benny, right off the top. Even with all the money, 70% of the bets are on Golden State, 80% of the money is on Golden State, but the spread went up. Golden State now catches that half a point. That is reverse steam right there, Benny. Even though everything is on the Golden State Warriors, the books are still giving the edge to the Raptors tonight.
Yeah, I mean, it's pretty interesting. Last night it actually was at +2 on DraftKings Sportsbook.
I didn't see that.
It's back down to 1.5 this morning because I thought about that all night while I was laying down. I'm like, because I got down on
you couldn't even rest, right?
I really couldn't. I got down on the money line the other day at like +105, I think it was, because I was like, I'm getting plus money on the Warriors. I want to do that. And to me, 1 point is nothing. You know what I mean? Because you got to you can't win by a half a point. So you got to win by at least 1 point. So if you're going to take the Warriors +1, I've always been somebody that was like, why am I going to take -110 at +1 when I can get +105?
I've been burned by that before, though, Benny. Trust me.
I have too, but at the same point in time.
More times than not, you're not. Yep.
Yeah. I'm comfortable enough doing it where, worst case scenario, I'm getting a push, right? Mm-hmm. Like that's the only thing I'm really giving up is Warriors winning or Warriors losing by 1 and not losing my money on the push. So I'm fine with that. But the thing that like really kind of got me a little bit is like you said, why is all the money coming in on the Warriors and the line's moving the other way? So even today, I like woke up this morning saying I'm going to hit this again at +2 and I'm going to take the points this time. And then when I went and looked, it was 1.5. And then I went to VegasInsider.com, which kind of shows you the line moves and everything like that. And I'm like, man, how is all the money on one? And the thing is, it's all the money and most of the bets. So it's professional bettors and the public. Like it's not like, 90% of the money or 50% of the money is on each team, but 90% of the bets are on Golden State where you're like, oh, well, that's all the dumb money on Golden State and all the pros are on the other side of this. The total, like the spread in this game, Corey, I don't want to put any more on it. I'm already on Golden State to win on the money line. I don't really want to touch this. I don't want to touch this plus money or anything else either way at this point. I'm really a little bit nervous about this.
It's somebody offshore that's putting loads of money on the Toronto Raptors. That's what it is.
I mean, if you look, they played twice this year, right? And you can't really get a lot out of the 2 games that they played. The one game I remember, because Toronto was on the tail end of a back-to-back on the road going into Golden State. Steph played, KD played, Clay was there, Draymond was there. The only one who didn't play is DeMarcus Cousins, but DeMarcus Cousins didn't play most of the season anyway. They went into Golden State and rolled them. They beat them by 20, and I remember that because I was on Golden State that night. I was like, oh, you get in Toronto on the tail end of a back-to-back. Like, there's no way they're going to lose this game. The other game that they played, Steph didn't play and Draymond didn't play. And that was a game, it was like 131, 128 or something like that. And that was the one in Toronto. But again, you can't really get too much from a game like that because there was no Draymond, there was no Steph. The one thing I noticed about both of those games, though, was like Kevin Durant was the one who did all the damage.
Yeah.
The one game without them, he had like 50. The other game when they both played and they lost by 20, Durant still had like 30 of the 90 points that they scored. So I don't think it's crazy to be on the Toronto side of this game right now. I mean, again, there's a lot of things if you're just looking at the numbers. I know everybody loves Golden State, and I do too. But there's a lot of things if you're just looking at the numbers that kind of point to Toronto winning, this game tonight. And I don't think that Toronto's going to lose both games at home, go back down 0-2 to Golden State. I don't think that's going to happen. If you do think that's going to happen, that's why you take the sweep at plus 500. I do believe the Raptors win one of these two games. So that's why I don't want to put any more money on this line.
You know what's interesting about this is what's the guy from – is it The Ringer? Or maybe it's ESPN. I don't know, whatever. Nate Silver?
Yeah, I know you're talking about. Mm-hmm.
His algorithm has the Raptors winning the series.
Again, they won both of the games in the regular season. They beat Golden State at Golden State by 20 with Golden State having the entire team. And now Golden State is playing them without Kevin Durant. So that's what I'm saying. Like, if you look at the numbers just based on the numbers, it does kind of skew in Toronto's favor.
Yeah, but your eyes tell you it's the Golden State Warriors. But I think tonight will take us a long way to figuring it out.
You're right. Listen, you're right. But here's the thing, right? Isn't the whole point of analytics not to let emotion trump, the data that you're reading? Like, that's why this series is so tough for me, because I honestly believe Golden State's going to win.
Uh-huh.
I think Golden State's a better team. But, dude, the more I look at the stats, it's like, I feel like I'm talking myself out of doing what I should be doing. If that makes sense.
You're the reverse of my man Gabe. Gabe is talking himself into what he wants to do. You know what I'm saying? Gabe is talking himself into a Raptors sweep. But
again, in this situation, he's really not wrong. Like, he's not wrong based on the numbers.
Yeah, no doubt. It was interesting. I was watching the Chris Hayes, the Posted Up podcast that he does, the basketball writer, I believe, from – see that? No, he's not with The Athletic. Yahoo Sports. He was interviewing the commissioner, and they were talking about, like, diversity and, in the front office. And he was like, you look at a lot of the former players that want to get into the front office.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of these organizations now, they want guys that study analytics. So when the players try to get involved, the players don't have an analytic background. The players are more of the eye test, or I know basketball.
Right.
The NBA is actually setting up a program starting this summer to teach analytics to former players.
I don't think it's a bad idea.
That's why the NBA is dope. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, you're absolutely right. I mean, the NBA is one of the most proactive leagues, right? Like, they were the first ones on board with sports betting. They're some of the ones that are always on board with, issues that the players care about and trying to do stuff like that, as opposed to what we've seen with the NFL and their response to, players' issues and the way players want to, express themselves and things like that. The NBA has always been one of the more proactive leagues and stuff like that. And I think this is a good thing. See, the thing is, people got to understand, like, it's not that the eye test doesn't matter. Like, the eye test does still matter as well. But you need to be able to back things up with facts, especially when you're about to go make, you're making huge investments in these players. You're getting guys for 4, 5, 6 years. You're giving them $100 million, like $50 million, $10, $20 million a year. Like, that's significant amount of money. If you're rich and you're going to go make a $10 million investment in the stock market, are you not going to do your homework and make sure that the guy that you're putting it in or the company that you're putting it in is something that, is going to be worth $10 million to you for over the course of the next 5 years? So it's the same thing with players. I mean, I know it's people that you're, quote unquote, buying and selling here, but you got to make sure you do your homework. And analytics is just such a big part of that homework if you want to be a winning organization.
I agree with you. I think so. When you look at the Houston Rockets, you hear the news come out yesterday that more or less everybody's on the trading block except for James Harden, including Chris Paul. If they move Chris Paul, they're going to have to pay Chris Paul. No right-minded organization is going to take on Chris Paul's contract this deep in his career, meaning the Rockets are going to have to trade him and agree that they'll pay his contract. They're essentially saying to Chris Paul, we're paying you to leave. And the Rockets are one of the more analytic teams in the NBA.
Yeah, I mean, again, for them, to me, Chris Paul was never the guy that they should have brought in the first place, right? Because they actually play better when James Harden has the ball in his hands. So you want James Harden playing that, point, not really a point guard, but you want him to have the ball in his hands, being the guy that triggers the offense. I think the problem is with Chris Paul is still good enough where he's going to help your team, but he's not somebody who's good enough or at the point of his career or has a friendly enough contract where he's going to bring you back another superstar.
Yeah.
To me, getting rid of Chris Paul is only going to be a talent downgrade for you. Maybe it saves you some money that you can go get some other pieces, but I don't think you're going to get back the talent value for Chris Paul that you're giving up by getting rid of Chris Paul.
No, but you're not getting back the talent value, but you're going to end up having to eat the money too. But you can get somebody that fits what you want to do moving forward better than Chris Paul.
Yeah, I mean, basically you want a 3-and-D guy, right? Like, that's really what you want to do right now. You have, because you do have like an Austin Rivers on that lineup who could be another guy that could run the second unit point guard for you. So you don't need to bring another point guard back for the trade for Chris Paul. The biggest problem that they had this year, Corey, and we talked about this a lot, is the forward position. You let go Trevor Ariza, you let go Mbah Moute, you let all these guys walk out the front door, but you didn't do anything to replace it. You had you went with the 3-guard lineup with Eric Gordon and Chris Paul and James Harden. If you have Gordon and Harden as your backcourt, that's a really solid backcourt. That's 2 guys that can score, handle the ball a little bit, get to the basket. What you need now are the forwards to go with them. You need a guy that can stand in the corner and knock down some jump shots for you and also help out on the rebounding, which was a problem that they had this year. The thing that's really the piece on that team that I think brings the most back in a trade is probably Clint Capella.
Yes, and that's the guy I need to keep the most besides James Harden.
I was just going to say, if you get rid of Capella, what are you doing? Are you really going to again, Kenneth Faried played well for a stretch there during the season, but you really want a 6'8" center? You know what I mean?
No, that's not going to work. I agree with you on that. It's a massive rebuild coming in place there. Going to be interesting to see how that one play out. But as far as tonight game, Bernie, let's get back to the total is sitting at 213.5. I would go with the under on this one. I think the only way it hits the over actually is if it goes to overtime.
So the first game without Steph and Draymond was a 250-something total, right?
Regular season.
Yeah, regular season.
Yeah.
The second game was a 20-point blowout. It was like 113-89 or something was the final score.
Eat 'em up.
So that's, let's see, 190. That's 202 points over there. If you think the game is going to be close, I think it does go over.
Okay.
If you think that Toronto's going to put a whooping on them like they did in, that second game in Golden State, then I think you're looking at like a 110, 90-something game, and that's how you get an under.
And that's what I'm thinking. I'm thinking that this one's going to come in. I think it might be even close. I think it might be even lower than that. I think because I'm looking at – these are 2 defensive-minded teams. People look at the Warriors and what they do offensively, but in Golden State, it all starts on the defensive side of the basketball. And I think we're looking somewhere in like a 107 to like a 103, 101 type game tonight. That's where I see it coming in at, somewhere in that range right there. A little bit, like I said, not 30 points under like the WNBA, but you know what I'm saying. 4 to 5 points underneath that total right there. But I do, like I said, obviously, if like you said, the game down the stretch, more possessions could push it towards the over, especially if it's a hotly contested battle, which I do think it will be. But I will go tonight. Man, Benny, this is tough. Put it like this. I am going to have the under. I'm going to have something on the Warriors money line. Mm-hmm. I'll back it up with something on the Warriors spread. and I'll probably play a Toronto prop where Leonard to score 30 and the Raptors to win, just to kind of cover myself. You know what I mean?
So on FanDuel, again, you're not going to make a ton of money on this, but FanDuel is basically offering one of these free bets that I like. You bet $25 on Kawhi to score the first basket tonight, and they give you $1 for every point that he scores. So you figure even if he doesn't score the first basket, the first basket's paying like +3 something. So 25 would get you like 80 or $90, like not a huge amount of money. But there's really no risk in taking that bet because you figure Kawhi's going to score about 20, 25 anyway.
You make the money back.
Yeah, so it's almost like they're giving you a free bet on Kawhi to be the guy that scores the first basket. So, definitely take that free bet for $25 there.
One of the reasons why I'm going to New Jersey today, Benny. I saw that also.
Yeah, I mean, and there's another one too tonight, just so everybody knows, on the Yankees and Red Sox.
Yes.
Yankees-Red Sox game, same thing. You throw $25 on whichever team you want, and you get $5 for every run they score. Now, Corey, I'm a hardcore Yankee fan, so I threw my 25 on the Yankees because I just have to do that and because it's only $25. But the better way to do it today is actually to throw the 25 on the Red Sox because Chris Sale is on the mound for Boston, so you can't expect the Yankees to get a lot of runs. And J.A. Happ's on the mound for the Yankees, so you kind of expect the Red Sox to get a couple runs against him. So that 25 should be over there. So everybody who's got $50 in their FanDuel Sports account, you should be putting 25 of it on Kawhi to score the first basket risk-free for 3-1 upside, and you should be putting 25 on the Red Sox today. Again, you're only going to win like $20 on that bet or $15 on that bet, but you're also going to get $5 for every run they scored. So again, it's like a free bet on that.
Plus money though tonight though, Benny. I saw that bet. I saw that promotion too by FanDuel, and the Yankees are plus 102 tonight. And yeah. I'm throwing my $25 on the Yankees.
What I did. Again, that's what I did because I'm a Yankees fan, but
the smart bet is to put it on Boston.
As somebody who's giving advice to people based on the numbers and stuff like that, which is kind of what we do, the smart bet is on Boston. But my fandom has me on the Yankees, and honestly, like I said, it's $25. If they even score 3 runs, I at least get 15 of that back. So I'm kind of good with that.
Tell you, man, Benny, I don't know if I can put 25 of my hard-earned dollars on the Boston Red Sox. Benny,
like I said, I couldn't do it either, but if you're asking me the smart bet, like the smart bet for us to tell people to take is the Boston Red Sox.
Yes, y'all go be smart. Iguodala, 10 points, and the Warriors to win is at plus 310.
So let me ask this question. So Iguodala is definitely playing, is what I saw. So that's
yes, I believe I was watching some of the media day stuff. And I do believe that the plan for the Dubs is to start out with Andre Iguodala guarding Kawhi Leonard.
Yeah, so my question is, who guards who on the other end? Do they put Kawhi? And I don't know. Like, again, I'm asking this question because I honestly don't know the answer to this.
Yeah.
Do they put Kawhi on Klay? Because remember, Kawhi was a little banged up in that last series. Do you really want him chasing Klay around screens the entire time for this series? Or do you want him standing in the corner guarding Iguodala because Iguodala is just going to kind of stand around a little bit, set some screens, and kind of finish and bang and get some rebounds and some shots inside because that's more of Iguodala's game. To me, I think if you're trying to protect him, because last series they kind of tried to protect him, which I know when you say you put him on Giannis, people are like, how is that protecting him? But Giannis doesn't really move around a lot on offense without the ball. You know what I'm saying? So you have Kawhi with the size to bang with him down low, and when Giannis has the ball on a three-point line, it's not like Kawhi's running out to guard him out there. If you have Klay out there, you're going to have to run around screens, you're going to have to get hit with screens, and you're going to have to be out 25 feet from the basket defending those shots because Klay can knock those shots down. So I actually think Kawhi ends up on Iguodala, which kind of takes Iguodala almost out of the series for me. If he gets that 10 points tonight, it's going to be things like transition. It's going to be things like rolling to the basket on a pick and roll and being the guy who's left open. I don't think the ball's actually going to be in his hands with them saying, go make something happen for us. Like if he gets 10 points, he's going to get it on 8 shots.
Do you remember what the last time when that game when he I guess he didn't break his ankle. He injured his ankle real bad. When Jaja Pachulia slid up under him in that game versus the Spurs. That game was talked about a lot yesterday in media too, and on media day too. Steve Kerr was like, the last time he really played against this guy, they had a 23-point lead on us. And Nick Nurse was like, he just watched the game like the day before. You know what I mean? He wouldn't tell what he was watching before, obviously being coy. But do you remember anything about that game and what the Warriors were doing with him that game?
The game that they lost by 20?
The Spurs.
To be honest, I don't remember that far back.
It would have been the game one of the 2017 Western Conference Finals.
I mean, we could probably go look it up. I'd have to go digging into it. I didn't do it last night while I was doing my research, though.
Yeah, I think in that game right there, I think he was guarding Andre Iguodala, if I'm not mistaken.
Right.
He was guarding Iggy that game right there. But the Warriors will switch him off on a lot of different people. So it's going to be interesting to see how that one plays out. Curry plus 30, Curry with 35, and Golden State wins at 390. That one seems like a lot. What are there any particular props that you like that you've seen on the Toronto side for the night? Like the Kyle Lowry 15 points and the Raptors to win. That one's coming in at 210. That seems like something I can get involved with. Does Danny Green get it going again this series?
No, you're not. You don't bet on Danny Green. You just don't. Like, it's not – and again, it's not a knock on Danny Green. I love Danny Green. I'm a Carolina guy. Like, I've always been a big fan of him. He's a New York area guy too. So, yeah, so I like Danny Green. But Danny Green is the guy who – the minutes for the Raptors go like this, right? Like, Kawhi's going to play as many as he can handle. Kyle Lowry's going to play as many as he can handle. Pascal Siakam's going to play as many as he can handle. The two positions where guys rotate in and out are the shooting guard and the center for them. So you're going to have Gasol play most of it with Ibaka playing some back up there and also taking a couple minutes from, like Kawhi and Siakam as they rotate around. At the two guard, you're going to have Fred VanVleet coming in and playing a lot of those minutes too. So I don't want anything that has to do with the centers in this series, and I don't want anything that has to do with Danny Green. I love the Kyle Lowry call. The Kyle Lowry played really well in that game that they won. I think he had 23, 24 points. You know that Kyle Lowry is going to have the softest matchup, right? Because if you want to pick on the Golden State Warriors, you basically want to pick on Steph Curry. Like, Klay Thompson is a plus defender. Iguodala is one of the best defenders in the league. Draymond's one of the best defenders in the league. The places you pick on the Warriors are point guard and center, right? I don't think Marc Gasol is the kind of guy that is going to, like, absolutely dominate this series. So I'm not really looking at center as being the main thing. And then plus, I'm also worried about his minutes with him and Ibaka. So that really leaves Kyle Lowry as the guy that you're looking at. So I like the over. I think it was 14.5 was the prop I saw on his points last night. So I took a little bit on that. The one that you just mentioned, was it 15 points and the Raptors to win?
Yeah.
What is that paying?
220.
Yeah, see, so I would rather do that than take negative money on the Raptors. Like the Raptors are like minus 110 or something. I don't know. Is it off 110? I think it was minus 110 yesterday, money line for the Raptors.
It was always 110.
Yeah, so if they're minus 110, I mean, you're getting 220. So basically, you bet $100 on minus 110, you win like $90. You bet $100 on this at plus 220. Lowry gets that 15 points. You turn your $100, you get 220. You turn your 100 into 320. So I would much rather take Lowry and the Raptors than just play the Raptors straight up if you're going on that side.
Exactly, and that's what I plan on doing tonight, like I said. So as far as me to get some exposure to Toronto, so it's just not a complete shit show if it goes one way or the other. I don't know if can Kyle Lowry get up to 20 tonight. For Kyle Lowry to score 20 in Toronto to win is paying plus 600.
It's worth the sprinkle. Like if you're going to throw $100 on the plus 220, maybe you go like 80 on the plus 220 at 15 and then throw like $20 on the, plus 600 with him scoring over 20. Again, the last time they played when the Raptors blew out the Warriors, Lowry had over 20 points. He was one of the guys that was putting the ball in the basket for them. And he does have the softest matchup against Steph here.
What do we think about the Draymond Green triple-double prop?
Draymond Green triple-double prop I definitely think is in play. What is it paying is the question.
All right, I'm looking at the matchup, the doubles right now.
Right.
So the one I'm looking at right now, Draymond Green with the triple-double and the Warriors to win is $850.
So the Warriors are plus money, right? So really they're giving you – I'd have to do the math, but it's probably about a plus 400, plus 500 for a Draymond triple-double. I don't know. I mean, listen, I don't mind it, but again, it's kind of like the Lowry bet. Like, it's something you sprinkle. You put, if you're betting $100 and you want to be on the Warriors side of that, that's something you throw like $20 on along with like 80 on the money line.
Yeah, I'm trying to find it right here. I'm trying to. They normally have it up here. Draymond Green steals. I don't see the Draymond Green triple double. I'm sure it's in here somewhere though, but it normally comes in that 400 to 500 range, Benny.
Yeah, when I took it last week when I hit on it, I only got it at it was like +4. I want to say like +415 or something. Let me see if I can find it while you're talking. I'll see if I can look on DraftKings Sportsbook. I'll see if they have one up there.
Maybe you can see it on the Ultra Recorded Triple Double. Here it goes right there, 380.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like it's been around 400, especially without Kevin Durant, because without Kevin Durant, you're getting more rebounds out of him and you're getting more shots out of him there. And he's already a guy that's always 6, 7, 8 assists, especially if they do what they did last series where they're pushing the ball up the floor with Draymond. If he's pushing the ball up the floor, he's going to wind up getting, close to that triple-double. I mean, listen, this is what Draymond does, right? Like, he scores around the triple-double. Like, that's, kind of his thing. So, let's see. I got it right here. Draymond triple-double. Guess what Draymond triple-double is on DraftKings Playbook? I mean, on DraftKings Sportsbook. It's only +300. +300 for a triple-double. Yeah.
So, there you go right there. FanDuel, at least you get that extra 80 cents in juice right there. But definitely shop around for your right price, especially if you're in the tri-state area or wherever you have mobile wagering at. Do you think DeMarcus Cousins plays a role in this series at some point? I think DeMarcus Cousins will be active tonight.
They said that he's supposed to be coming back from the series. I actually list him as questionable for today's game, which is an upgrade from what he has been in the last series. Here's my thing though, Corey. I mean, he's missed most of the season, right?
Mm-hmm. And in the last 19 months, he's played. In the last 19 months, out of the last 19 months, he's played basketball for 3 of them.
Yeah, and I mean, even when he came back this year, what was he back for? A couple weeks, and then he got hurt again. Listen, I think DeMarcus Cousins, his impact in the series, if he plays, is as like a 15 to 20 minute a game player.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? So he steals those minutes from Bogut. Maybe he steals some of the minutes that guys like Jordan Bell and Kevon Looney have been playing. But I don't expect DeMarcus Cousins to have what you would expect from DeMarcus Cousins. I'm not expecting 25 and 15s at any point in the series from DeMarcus Cousins. I wouldn't even expect 15 and 10 on his best game. I wouldn't even expect.
Yeah, I agree with you on that. I think Kerr said it well yesterday. He said if it was the regular season, he would throw him out there for 25 minutes and be like, figure it out. But he's like, this is the NBA Finals. It's a little bit different. You know what I'm saying? So
well, again, no. I mean, I think an 80% or a 70% DeMarcus Cousins is still better than an Andrew Bogut right now.
Yep.
Or some of these other guys that they're rolling out there. But I mean, Jordan Bell played pretty well the end of that last series. Kevon Looney played really well that last series. So, I'm not saying that either Kevon Looney or Jordan Bell are better than DeMarcus Cousins, but they may be better than a 70% DeMarcus Cousins.
No doubt, especially in this series. Let's get into some of the props right now, Benny. Steph Curry. 32.5. You get the over at +100 on FanDuel.
32.5. I'm not really messing with it. Again, Kyle Lowry's a tough
Steph numbers at like 24, 25. At 32, it's like, wow.
Yeah, and again, it's a tough matchup for him. I mean, Kyle Lowry is a very good defender. He's going to be chasing him around, even if they switch it off on some of these screens. Look at the perimeter guys for Toronto, right? You have Kyle Lowry, you have Danny Green, you have Kawhi Leonard. So even if you're running screens to try to get a good matchup, who do you attack of those 3 guys? They're all good defensive players. Like, none of them are a plus matchup for Steph.
I agree with you. Klay Thompson's number comes in at 22.5. You get even money on the over.
So here's the difference between the two of them for me. Like you said, the numbers in the 20s are good numbers.
Mm-hmm.
And without Kevin Durant, what we saw was Klay Thompson taking 20 shots a game. Asking 22 points out of Klay Thompson taking 20 shots, that's not crazy. So I don't mind. I actually like the Klay one more than I like the Steph one today.
I would agree with you on that one, especially, like I said, it only comes in at 22 points. And on Stephon's – well,
is there any juice on that 22.5? Is it like -110 or is it like -150?
No, so it's even money. It's plus 100.
Even money at 22, I'm fine with. Yeah, I'm definitely fine with that on Klay. Is that on FanDuel?
It's on FanDuel.
All right, I have to go look. I'm going to go put a little bit on that after we get off.
Yeah, Draymond is at 12.5. I think the triple-double prop is more the way to go to him. Kawhi Leonard's at 30.5. The over is -105 for Kawhi.
All right, hold on. Let's back this up for a second. 12.5 is Draymond's point prop?
Yeah.
I like that. With no Kevin Durant, he's been doing more offensively, so I like that 12.5 number for him.
-125.
Again, that's what they expect it to come out. That's why. I still like it, but I probably wouldn't take it straight up. But if you take that and you parlay it with something else, -125 is pretty good. I do think Draymond gets over 12.5 points there.
I can agree with you on that one right there. The Kawhi one is 30.5 with the juice minus 105 on the over.
Yeah, for me, I'm going to get a little bit of exposure to Kawhi Leonard by taking that, free money first basket thing on FanDuel.
That's true, yeah.
I'm probably not going to put any more money on him. 30 is a lot of points, and he could definitely get there, but again, it's not a number that I'm really looking forward to banging.
Siakam's at 17.5.
Not a huge fan of Siakam in this series.
Okay.
Siakam's going to draw the Draymond defense, right? So, I mean, that's not an easy matchup for him. There's other guys who have easier matchups, like, again, Kyle Lowry being the one who sticks out to me. I mean, think about it. If you're Toronto and you're Nick Nurse and you're sitting around figuring out how to attack the Warriors here, do you want to force the ball to Siakam against Draymond Green, who's one of the best defenders at the power forward spot in the league? Do you want to force the ball to Kawhi Leonard against Andre Iguodala, who's one of the best small forward defenders? Or do you want to give the ball to Lowry, who's going up against Steph Curry, who's considered,
a liability,
average defender?
Oh, a liability. You're right. Kyle's number comes in at 15.5, Benny, and you get it at plus 100.
Yeah, I mean, I'm going to be sticking with the Kyle Lowry ones in this series. That's one of the trends I'm hoping to ride, and I'm hoping that I'm right.
I hope you're right, too, because I'm gonna hop on that one. What do you think? What are we looking at rebounds and assists? Who's some names that stick out?
The assist numbers for Kyle Lowry in that last game, he had 12 assists in that last game. So if he's over like 6.5, 7.5, where is he?
6.5.
Yeah, over. I like the over at 6.5. If it was 7.5, I'd be a little less excited about it. But at 6.5, I don't mind that number. Is it even money, or are we paying?
You get 6.5 at plus 100.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely like that one too. So Kyle Lowry points, Kyle Lowry assist, like both of those prop bets there today.
Kyle Lowry getting it done.
Yeah. What's Draymond's assist number?
Draymond Green assist is 7.5.
Yeah, I don't think it's crazy, but that's a high number. Like, it's not, I'd rather be on Lowry at 6.5.
Or would you rather be on the triple-double if you want to take Draymond at all?
Exactly. Like, if I'm going to take that chance, I'd rather just play the triple-double, to be honest.
Exactly. You know what I mean?
The points and the rebounds, I think he gets no problem.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's kind of his game right there. So the triple-double would be the better way to go. That 7.5 was at minus 120. They could be setting you up on that one.
What's Marc Gasol's rebounds? Because one of the things that Golden State really struggles with is, interior bigs, especially on the defensive end with guys that can get rebounds. Because let's face it, I mean, they play fast, they take a lot of three-pointers. There's going to be a lot of missed shots. So if you can get an over 6.5 on Gasol, that's not bad either.
You got 6.5 at plus 100.
Again, it's not bad. The problem that I have with it, or the thing you got to worry about, is how much Serge Ibaka plays in this series, right?
Yeah.
But again, without Kevin Durant, they really don't have the ability to go small. So you would assume that Gasol is still going to be playing a lot of minutes. So I'd be willing to put a little bit on that. 6.5 for Gasol, the over, I'd be willing to take a little chance on that.
What do you think of Klay Thompson's made threes, 3.5?
That's a high number. We take it for granted because this
it doesn't seem like a lot. But for 10 years ago, if somebody hit 4 3-pointers in a finals game, you'd be like, oh, my God.
Yeah, I know. Again, I mean, you've seen Steph knock down 7, 8, 10 in some of these recent runs. Yeah, So it's tough. But, like, asking for 4 3-pointers, that's a lot.
And they're giving it to you at plus 118.
Yeah, I mean, listen, if you want to take the chance, that's one to take a chance on. But, I mean, I'm not going to tell anybody that, 4 is a lock. Like, there's no way you can feel good about 4. If it happens, cool. But I don't want to be on that.
Leonard threes is 2.5 at plus 146.
I don't really ever take the Kawhi Leonard 3-point prop. Like, he can knock down threes, but it's not his game, right? Like, he's more of a mid-range. If you told me shots from the foul line for Kawhi Leonard was 5 over under, I would take the over.
Yeah.
3-point shots, not really what I'm expecting.
They haven't made those prop yet, Benny. I tell you, a dude that's been stealing my money, and I got to figure out a way to get some money back from him before this finals is over, is Norman Powell. Whenever I bet against the Toronto Raptors, Norman Powell has an excellent game. His made threes are sitting at 1.5, but the number is minus 120. And he's been a thorn in my side, Benny.
Again, this is another one of the reasons why I'm not high on Danny Green, because you're getting Norman Powell being on the floor a lot more. You're getting Fred VanVleet being on the floor a lot more. Like, these guys are good players, and they can both score. So I do expect Norman Powell to have a couple more pretty good games in this series. I mean, this guy can play. He's pretty good.
He can play. What's Powell go to?
He's a UCLA guy.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's interesting. I did not know that.
Yep.
As far as the halves go, total 109 is the first half total. Any interest in that 109 in the first half?
I'd be under the first half total. I'd be over the third quarter totals.
Why is that?
Because
the Warriors
the Warriors in the third quarter is a thing. Like, it really is a thing. They come out at halftime, they make the adjustments, they come out on fire. And another reason why it's a thing, Corey, the way they do their substitutions, the starters pretty much play the whole third quarter. Usually Steph plays almost the whole third quarter, sits the beginning of the fourth, and then comes in for the end of it. They take Clay out. Clay will come out like the last 3 or 4 minutes of the third quarter so that he can start the fourth quarter, so they always have one of those two on the floor at the same time. But their first half substitution patterns, the first half is when they give those guys a little more rest. The second half, they usually play like 20 out of 24 minutes in the second half.
All right, there you go right there. So that total is coming in at 109. I think I like the 109 too. I expect both teams, particularly the Raptors, to be a little bit tight coming out. Obviously, their first appearance in the finals. That joint is going to be lit. Nova Scotia, Canada has really been looking forward to this. I'll take the under the starter. Benny, if you remember game one last year, the total was 108. The first half total was 108.
Mm-hmm.
And it was 105. It was sitting at 105. And the Warriors threw a long inbound pass. J.R. Smith went to steal it. Steph Curry caught it about 60 feet out. And I'm talking about, Benny, everybody in the arena knew that joint was going in.
Well, if it was 108, you pushed, right?
You pushed on it, yeah.
So at least you didn't lose, but you can't be happy about that.
Yeah, he just heaved it up. J.R. Smith went for a stupid steal because you know Curry's going to shoot that shot.
Because he's J.R. Smith.
Because he's J.R. Sweezy.
I love dude, I saw J.R. Smith play in high school. My dad was coaching Hudson Catholic in Jersey City. They played against St. Benedict's, coached by Danny Hurley, Coach Bob Hurley's son. Danny Hurley was J.R. Smith's high school basketball coach. J.R. Smith had like 34 points in that game. It was like 6 3-pointers and like 8 dunks.
Yeah.
Like, that's all he did. He either pulled up from 5 feet behind the 3-point line or he went to the basket and dunked. And St. Benedict's was like really good. They had 3 or 4 other guys that went like
nationally ranked at that time, St. Benedict's.
Yeah, they had a bunch of guys that wound up going D1 and playing at big time schools. But I just remember watching J.R. Smith. He was a senior at the time. And I said after the game, I was like, who the hell is this kid? Like, I mean, he was hitting 25-footers, and then when people came out to play him, was just pump faking, going to the basket, and just dunking left and right. So
J.R. Smith, J.R. I'm gonna get me wrong. I love J.R. Smith too. I remember J.R. Smith as a high school athlete, also in this area. J.R. Smith, legend of some of the most famous and infamous moves in sports history.
Infamous, definitely.
I remember, J.R. Smith had went to China for a year.
Mm-hmm.
Did you know that?
When they had the whole lockout and everything like that was going on. Yep.
You know J.R. Smith is not allowed back in China now?
That does not surprise me. Like I said, I love J.R. Smith. J.R. Smith is a national treasure. I absolutely love him. But that guy, he's got some stuff, man. You remember that tweet? It was like some hot 19-year-old girl that was like, "Hey, I'm coming to your game tonight," and he was like, "Word, trying to get the fight."
He's trying to get the fight. It's a hairy one from Love and Hip Hop. Tweets her on when he's on the road. The thing in China, son, they was like, yo, he can't come back. They was like, yo, him, his family, they cannot. The Smiths, the Sweezies are not allowed in the Republic of China. Let me tell you how immature son is, Benny. This is what he would do, yo. He would order room service, right? He lived in a hotel out there. He would order room service. Right, they would bring it. By the time they got back downstairs, he would call, he would order again. And so he would keep ordering room service all night. Then the next morning, he would go out to shoot around. They would come, and the staff would come to clean the room. He didn't eat none of the food.
Was the team paying? The team had to be paying for it or something like that. It wasn't coming out of his pocket. That was his way to stick it to the team.
So then his sister had spent some time out there with him. She got into a big fight in the stands, and they was just like, yo, just please leave and don't ever come around here no more. You know what I'm saying, Benny? Speaking of labor strike, the NFL You see with the NFLPA sent a letter to their players, and they do this. They do this obviously so it can get news and get attention. People can talk about it,
right?
Stuff like that. But and they've done this years before, where you're getting ready to go into a difficult labor time. What I find interesting, particularly this time, Benny, is in the actual letter that they sent to the players, they said be prepared for a work stoppage of at least 1 year.
Yeah. Listen, again, I don't want to make too big a deal out of this because, like you said, this is A, an attempt at getting leverage, B, an attempt at getting, the thing out there. I mean, do you remember the last labor argument for the NFL? Nobody gave a shit because you had a whole bunch of millionaires and a whole bunch of billionaires bitching about how they were going to split up the billions of dollars in revenue that comes out of our pockets as fans for going to the games and buying the jerseys and watching on TV and all that stuff there. I honestly think that a deal will be made. I think this is just being used, like you said, as like a leverage thing and to kind of gain a little bit of media exposure and all that stuff. Because let's face it, there are serious issues that they need to talk about here. Like the players do not like the way the teams are using this whole franchise tag thing and guys are getting screwed. And, they don't like the fact that their money's not guaranteed and they're not basically, being able to stay and make that kind of money. They want to be able to get at it. If management is allowed to cut your contract, the players want to be able to renegotiate their contract when they have a good year, if you're allowed to get cut and not be paid when you have a bad year. So there's a lot of things that they really need to kind of go over in this, in this argument here.
You're right. Veteran quarterbacks, young quarterbacks, You got to deal with that. You have, like you said, the Le'Veon Bell situation. How do you prevent something like that from happening again? And then you got to think these owners, they see what's going on with Anthony Davis. They see how NBA players are maneuvering their way. That scares the bejesus out of them. NFL players also see Devontae Freeman, the highest paid running back in the NFL at the time when he signed his contract, basically had the same contract as Zaja Pachulia. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Who was a journeyman on the back of the Warriors bench was the same contract as the top running back in the NFL.
Listen, the NFL owners got a really, really good deal the last time they sat down at the table. The owners know it, the players know it, and even people who just cursory follow sports realize how good a deal the owners got in that last one, which means that the players are going to dig in and try to take some of it back this time.
Problem is, Jenny, the players got DeMaurice Smith digging in for them. And if I'm the players, I don't want DeMaurice Smith being the guy to represent me because I feel like DeMaurice Smith is probably more in line with Roger Goodell than he is with the players.
Well, if that's the case, then the players and the Players Association, you got to make a move.
Yep.
You're going into a very big negotiation here that is going to basically be your contracts for the next, 5 to 10 years, which is usually the way they wind up doing these, these things when they have the collective bargaining and all that stuff when they sit down and they talk. If you don't have faith in the person who's going to be the negotiator for you guys, then now is the time to make a move before you let him get into it and start sitting down and, negotiating another bad deal for you.
All right, Benny, before we get ready to get up out of here, you got any baseball besides that Yankee? I thought it was day baseball today.
There is a couple games earlier, then there's like 6 or 7 games late at night. It's a short slate, though. I think there's only like 10 games on the whole day or something like that. So here's my best bet for baseball is actually in that Yankees-Red Sox game. With Chris Sale on the mound, like I said, as much as I'm a Yankees fan, the smart bet is to be on the Boston side of that, right? J.A. Happ this year, the guy who's pitching for the Yankees, has let up over 2 home runs per 9 this season. 44 innings against right-handed batters this year. He's given up 13 home runs. So that's basically a home run every 3 innings to right-handed bats. So really what you want to do today, you want to look at some of the right-handed home run hitters on the Boston Red Sox. So the guy who stands out the most is obviously J.D. Martinez. Over 400 WOBA, just below a 300 ISO, 157 WRC plus. Massive power, absolutely crushes lefties. The problem is J.D. Martinez hit a home run is like plus 200. That's like that's a really low number.
That's terrible.
Yeah, you can juice it up to plus 350 if you take him and the Red Sox to win together. Mm-hmm. But even that is not like a great number. But that is the one that makes the most sense. But there are other guys who can also hit home runs from the right side. Like Mookie Betts is plus 500 for the win and for him the homer. Michael Chavez, who's been their second baseman that kind of took over for Pedroia, hitting in the middle of that order right now. He's a righty that's got some pop. A guy like Steve Pearce is an interesting guy. Steve Pearce is basically a lefty masher.
Mm-hmm.
You know, that's all he does. He hits left-handed pitching and he has power. He's like a plus 650 for him, the homer, and the Red Sox to win. So those are really the way that I'm kind of looking to play that game. It's like I want to play right-handed home run hitters on the Red Sox because to me, of all the guys and all the games I was looking at here today, that's the game that stands out the most as a game where I think there's going to be some home runs. So right-handed Red Sox hitters are guys worth, you know, again, a couple bucks. Don't be putting your whole bankroll on it, but, you know, a couple bucks on some of these guys to go yard.
All right, there you go right there. Big piece of chicken. I'm going to go to Commissioner Adam Silver. Great season. NBA Commissioner Adam Silver. Great season. Setting up for an electric final. What you got, Benny?
Yeah, I'm going to give mine to Chris Bryant yesterday for going yard because, A, he won me money, so that's why he gets the big piece of chicken, but he also helped them win that game. They won that game 2-1, so that was a big home run for them to go ahead one.
I got that W, too. Shout out to my man Chris Bryant for Benny Ricciardi, Corey Parson, the fantasy executive. We out.